G'day viewers, and welcome to the latest thrilling instalment of what you and I both come to know and love as PB's Retro Restorations. This week I'm tackling this Dinky 966 Marrel Multi-Bucket unit, as Dinky called it. I guess you can call it a skip truck if you like. I'll tell you some more about it in a moment. But first up, I want to give Mr. Martin Dare, the governor from Martin Dare's Dinky Restorations, a massive shout out, because without his build and his restoration of this unit, I would not have been able to create the 3D printed parts to replace all the bits that have been smashed off this. So thanks very much for your insight and expertise, Martin, and your video, of course. I really appreciate it, as I'm sure all your viewers do. Viewers, if you haven't checked out Martin Dare's Dinky Restorations, you must be one of the 3 people in the diecast community who haven't. I'll post a link in the description and a link to Martin's restoration video of his Marrel bucket at the end of the video. So out of thanks and respect to Mr. Dare, we won't get crack-a-lackin' this week. We'll get her off the old magic and take a bloody good look at her. Sorry, Martin.
Alright viewers, now this is one from my Uncle Philip's collection. I've told you before in other videos, he used to let me play with his cars, or my mum would make him let me play with his cars. And unlike the Ford Mustang, which I know I was responsible for ruining, this one has always been like this as long as I've known it, which is my whole life. It looks like, you might be, actually you're probably wondering why I've got the bucket and nothing else. It's hard to believe. Uncle Phil did look after his cars, but this one looks like at some stage it might have been the victim of being stood on. The arms on here, as you can see, are bent to buggery, like they've been folded right over and bent back into shape. Not so lucky was the die-cast arms and the hydraulic sleeves and the other bar. All the pins that held them in are all bent up as far as they'll go, so they've all obviously snapped out of it. You can probably see there that these channels at a couple of points are just bent out. The little hooks for holding the bucket on are both smashed off too. It's suffered some kind of crushing event. It looks like it's a little bit bent in the... It's uncharacteristic of Uncle Phil's other toys that are, you know, play worn but not destroyed. So I don't know what happened to this one. But I do know that 3D printing, again, you can't buy those parts. So I'm going to have a go at designing them, printing them, and we'll see how we go. See, I always assumed this was plastic, but it's metal and it's snapped on both ends, so Oh.
So not having any success with trying to drill it out, I decided to try and use Martin's technique of heating up a circular piece of metal and melting through around it. But I obviously couldn't get it hot enough. I probably wouldn't have been able to hold it if it had been hot enough and melt it. It wouldn't budge, so I butchered it a bit. But I got it out, which is what I was trying to do, I suppose. And I know the glass already has a big crack in it, but it's already lost so many of its original parts. I wanted to try and use as many of the original parts as I could, which included bending those pins out and getting them out and straightening them to use them again, which I did. So as you may or may not know, viewers, tinkercad is a free online based computer aided drawing program intended for beginners. It's pretty simple. I'm a beginner and I'm simple, but you can get really good results with it. It takes a while, but once you get the hang of it, it's amazing. As you can see, there's no limit to what you can do with it. Now, I've already got the bucket, but I thought while I've got the measurements of an original to go on, I'll try and recreate one for the folk who don't. Here's my test prints. The proof's in the pudding. You can see the results at the end. I have decided to start making some of my 3D files available for purchase, if that's what grabs you. If you'd like to throw me a bone, I will put a link to my Cults 3D page in the description. This one I printed didn't quite come out as it should. It was a little bit wonky.
Oh, tell you what, it's a bit of strength to break it. Anyway, I know you're all probably hoping I broke the good ones, but no, I didn't. Tell you what, Go give that another blast with the hose and we'll be right.
I usually prop my bodies on one of my little Daiso vices that I got from Daiso, strangely enough. But that wasn't going to work with this, so I got a toothpick and put it through the axle holes, and then bulldog clipped it. And it's a bit flippy floppy, but you know, pure genius otherwise. Yeah. Now I'm going to try and straighten out the skip bucket handles. I'm not going to repaint this. I'm going to leave it as that original touch. And it's supposed to be a skip truck. They never look pristine, do they? Mixing up a special blend of paint using a Tamiya white acrylic base with some yellow mixed into the top. Try and get it as close as I can. Once I did get it to where I wanted it, I realised that it was a pretty good match for the Vauxhall Victor. You may recall I said I'd mix some paint for another project. Well, this is that other project. So I used it on the Victor and I used it on this. And I think they're both a pretty good match. So as I hit it with the airbrush, of course, it started blowing about in the breeze, so it worked for the most part. I had to hold it by the cabin, and when the bottom dried I sprayed the rest of it and I gave it a couple of coats.
this will just be a first coat. Once it's dried, I'll give it a sand and give it another go.
This one had all its original tyres, which was good, but some of them were a bit grubby and dried out, so along with the glass I tried giving them a clean. Some of them came apart, some of them started disintegrating, so in the end I took them all off, and I couldn't quite get the hubs clean either, so I gave them a spray paint just to make them look nice and fresh, and I'll order a nice new set of tyres for it. The glass piece was pretty good in this one, except for the big crack through the front of it, but it wasn't deeply scratched otherwise, so I just gave it a good wash as you saw, and a polish with the Autosol aluminium polish, and then I gave it a dip in the floor polish just to give it a nice coating, and I think it came out pretty good, all things considered. Just hand rubbed it and it came out good. As I mentioned before, I really wanted to try and use those pins, but they're pretty badly bent, so after I got them all out I straightened them out as best I could, gave them a little bit of a polish up, and they should work okay. I was pleased with how straight I got the arms of the skip bucket, and now I'm just going to grind that little, patina or surface rust off it, and should shine it up pretty good. Alright, reassembly time. What a good time this was. Again, thanks Martin for your video, it really helped me out, but it wasn't smooth sailing, as you'll all see. So as Martin knows, and some of the rest of you might know, the way this spring plate works with the little lever is by pressure on the part, and of course when I applied that pressure to the part, wait for it, yes, it snapped. The resin is good, but it can be weak sometimes. I made some keys for Adam. Hi Adam. And sent them to him, and they all shattered on him. And
It's the one.
so load-bearing properties are not that great. So while the super glue dries on that part, I pushed forward with assembling some of the other parts. My replacement set of tyres arrived from Recover Toy, like in a couple of days after I ordered them, which was excellent. And they looked the part, and they were a little bit softer than the 60-year-old ones, if you can believe it.
Should have drilled that out first, viewers.
I did drill the sleeves out a little bit to hold the rods. They're a little bit tight. They do slide in and out, but I've accepted that it's going to be a static model. It's not going to get played with anyway, but it doesn't operate as it would in 1953 or whenever this came out. But anyway, if you're not getting a laugh now, you soon will. You see if you can pick what's wrong with this. Because I didn't. Not for a long time.
Oh, you idiot. Oh, you idiot. Something wrong with you. Oh. Put it on the... Please, come out. Oh, come on. Yes. Thank... Haven't even had a drink.
This was a part I'd neglected to design and print earlier, just a little cylinder for holding the two bars at the top in. And I printed 4 of them, they all came out, so what a waste of resin. So when assembling it, I found a little bit of a flaw. I hadn't allowed quite enough room for the eye of the sleeve to fit in here, so I ground it out a little bit with the end of a file and made it fit and made it work. I've since adjusted the 3D print file to accommodate for it now. So just like that, as if by magic, we're done. Well, kind of, sort of, but we'll get to that. Here we are back at the start with Uncle Phil's, I don't know, we'll call it a survivor. There's no way Uncle Phil wrecked this truck. One of his mates has wrecked it, or maybe left it out under one of Grandad's trucks and it got backed over. I don't know how it got in this state, but I'm sure glad he kept that skip bucket for it, because I'm told that's the hard bit to find. But it was missing all its hydraulics and arms and everything. But anyway, this is what we started with, and this is what we're left with now. Ta-da! Looking almost $1 million with its fresh paint, new 3D printed parts, new tyres, straightened out, painted. But can you see what the issue is here, folks? I know Martin's already noticed it. The arm assembly, I put it on completely the wrong way round. I took the glamour shots of it with the wrong way round. And it was only when I went online just to remind myself of the name of the truck for the titles, and looking at all the pictures thinking, something's not right here. Something's not right. So I pulled it apart again and I put it around the right way. What a dingus.
So far, so good, viewers. Right. No, that is the... I swear, viewers. I swear to God.
So here we are back at the start with blah 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 blah, and here's what we're left with now, with all the parts around the right way. Ta-da! Actually really looking $1,000,000 now, with the parts around the way Dinky's engineers intended them to be, and not the way my diseased mind thought they'd go together. I don't know how I get on, viewers, but thanks for your patience. Thanks for hanging around till the end of the video, viewers. I really appreciate your support. If you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up or click the like button, whatever it is. Maybe share it with your friends, and even maybe consider subscribing. I would really appreciate your support. It helps the channel grow, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I know it was a bit of a longer video with all the waffle and my incompetence once again stealing the show. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.